You slept for 8 hours. So why do you feel like you got hit by a truck? You didn't stay up all night. You didn't pull an all-nighter. You actually did what you're supposed to do. And yet, your alarm goes off, your eyes open, and your brain says, absolutely not. You look at the clock. 8 hours. So here's the weird part. 8 hours of sleep doesn't necessarily mean 8 hours of recovery. And what happens during those 8 hours might matter more than the number itself. Think of your sleep like a movie. You were in bed for 8 hours, but your brain wasn't watching the same scene for 8 hours. Sleep moves through different stages: light sleep, deep sleep, and REM sleep. And your brain cycles through them repeatedly during the night. So when you say, I slept for 8 hours, you're describing how long the movie played, not necessarily how well you watched it. And that's our first clue. Imagine watching that movie while someone keeps pressing pause. A noise, a notification, a room that's too hot, a partner moving around. You wake up, then fall asleep again. Wake up, then fall asleep again. And sometimes you don't even remember those brief awakenings the next morning. But your sleep wasn't necessarily one smooth, uninterrupted story. And that matters because your brain needs to move through its normal sleep stages. Deep sleep tends to be concentrated earlier in the night. REM periods become longer later. So if your sleep keeps getting disrupted, the problem isn't necessarily that you didn't spend enough time in bed. The problem may be what happened while you were there. But wait, what if none of that happened? No loud noises, no notifications, no obvious interruptions. You slept for 8 hours. You wake up and still feel terrible. Now, most of us make the same assumption. I need more sleep. But what if you're already getting enough? Your brain doesn't go from sleep to fully awake, like flipping a light switch. There's a transition. It's called sleep inertia. That strange period when you wake up, but your brain hasn't quite joined the meeting yet. You're staring at the ceiling. Your body feels heavy. Your thoughts are slow. And somehow, finding your phone feels like an intellectual challenge. Please hold. Sleep inertia is a real physiological state that can temporarily reduce alertness and performance after waking. And importantly, it can happen even after a normal night's sleep. So sometimes, you aren't necessarily sleep deprived. You're just not fully awake yet. But here's where it gets even stranger. Your body has a clock. Not the one on your phone, a biological clock. It helps regulate when your body expects to sleep and when it expects to be awake. Light and darkness help set this clock. So imagine your alarm screaming, "Wake up!" while your biological clock responds, "Who authorized this?" You may have slept for 8 hours, but the timing of those 8 hours still interacts with your body's sleep-wake rhythm. And that's why 8 hours isn't the whole story. So if you wake up tired, don't just ask, "How many hours did I sleep?" Ask, "What happened during those hours?" Was your sleep interrupted? Was your schedule constantly shifting? Did you wake up feeling groggy for a while? Or do you regularly feel exhausted or excessively sleepy during the day despite getting enough sleep? Because persistent sleepiness can have causes beyond simply not spending enough hours in bed, including sleep disorders, medications, circadian problems, and other health factors. And that's when your tiredness becomes more than an annoyance. It becomes a clue. So tomorrow morning, when you wake up after 8 hours and still feel exhausted, don't immediately think, "What's wrong with me?" Because maybe nothing is wrong with you. Maybe your body is trying to tell you something. Maybe your sleep was interrupted. Maybe your body clock is out of sync. Maybe your brain simply hasn't finished waking up. And if this keeps happening, maybe the tiredness itself is worth paying attention to. Because your body doesn't always speak in words. Sometimes, it speaks in clues. And once you start looking at your body that way, ordinary things start becoming interesting. Why are you tired? Why do you suddenly crave something? Why can't you focus? Why does stress change the way you feel? There might be more going on underneath than you think. That's Diezario. We take the strange things your brain and body do every day and follow the clues. So if you want to understand the weird things happening inside you, subscribe to Diezario and follow along. Because the next thing your body does might make a lot more sense than you think.